What's up, spirit souls? I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to my channel. As always, for those of you who are new here, I'm Chaitanya Das, and here it's where I come to talk about things like spirituality, self-development, relationships, fitness, the law of attraction, and so much more. But most importantly, I talk about all these things in connection to the supreme intelligence behind the stringent laws of material nature, in connection to the one known in the Vedic scriptures as the supreme personality of Godhead, the all attractive one, Kṛṣṇa. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the content. If you do, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's good karma. Also, if you want more information on how you can connect with your inner self so you can live a happier and more fulfilling life, please take a look at my website. Link in the description below. There, you will find wonderful resources designed specifically to assist you with achieving that goal. Now, before I jump right into it, let me roll the intro. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Freedom is the basis of our existence. So, with everything that is going on online, going on around the world today, right? What the world has been experiencing since the beginning of 2020, March 2020. I don't need to say what it is about, right? It's a health crisis. And that sparked a lot of conversation around freedom, right? Especially here in the United States. I know so many people that are vocal about exercise uh, their rights to fight their no to speak their mind, right, and fight for their rights, the rights to fight for their rights. And freedom is an important thing for people. They want to feel free to make their choices, and I agree. I think that um, we are as I said in the beginning of this video, I believe that freedom is the basis of our existence. We are free. I just think it's interesting how people approach this whole subject matter of freedom, especially or specifically people in my community and those around me, people that have some spiritual understanding, some spiritual knowledge. They have a spiritual practice, right, or a spiritual pursuit. And it's interesting to me to see like how we can easily, even though having some understanding of who we really are, right, which is not this material body, having some understanding of the nature of this material world, and having some understanding of God, of the supreme absolute truth of Bhagavan, right? We still engage in this type of subject matter and conversation in a mood that I believe, when I witness and when I sit back a little bit and I witness sometimes my behavior, I try to police myself more than anything else, right? I try not to police others, moving away from that because I'm trying to realize that I am not the doer, I'm not the controller, right? But I do try to witness and make sure I'm paying attention to my own behavior. And when I look at my behavior, as I said, and honestly, people's behavior when it comes to voicing their opinion and let everybody know where they stand, I cannot help but think that most of us are acting under illusion. We have not really understood, the message of the Bhagavad Gita. We have not understood what Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, so many of our Vaishnavacharyas have come to give, which is transcendental knowledge, right? Open our eyes to whom we really are. And why do I say that? Because it's often and it's often and common to see people uh, communicating their opinion, communicating what they think should be, they should be doing and others should be doing. That is very common, right? People telling you online what you should and should not be doing. You see them there communicating that for the most part, they're pushing against what is not wanted. They're pushing against the things that they don't want in their lives, right? When it comes to the vaccination issue, a lot of people going online and being very vocal, right, against those those that are favorable towards getting protection, getting vaccinated. And it's a very, in my opinion, it's a very unintelligent thing to do, and it goes against a scriptural junction. It goes against the instructions we have received from our acharyas, from our spiritual masters, from our guru paramparam, right, from our disciplic succession. And why am I saying that? Because it's there. The instructions are there. And the question that comes to mind to me when I see people engaging in that way is, I want to make sure that I understand, not only understand the instructions of our acharyas, the instruction of my Gurudev, the instructions of our Guru Paramparam, but most importantly, I want to make sure that in the moment, as I'm experiencing this life, I'm I'm focusing on what is wanted. I'm focusing on what I want based on truth, not based on the false ego, not based on what I think should be done, right? And it's a very deep and philosophical subject matter. Hopefully I can be concise and get to the point here. But I started this video saying the basis of our existence is absolute freedom. And why I believe that to be the truth? Because we are part and parcels of the supreme absolute truth. We are part and parcels of God. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is considered to be none other, who is considered to be none other than Kṛṣṇa himself, right? In the mood of his topmost devotee, of his pleasure potency, of the one that lives to serve and bring him pleasure, right? He came, uh, he came to give love of God, right? To give the process, the method through which one can engage and develop his or her constitutional relationship, original constitutional relationship with transcendence, with the Supreme Absolute Truth. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a conversation with one of his disciples, Sanatana Goswami, he said, Sanatana Goswami asked him, "Who am I?" Right? Who am I? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answered, "You are shakti, right? You are spirit soul, your energy, you're part and parcel of Krishna." And the word is tatashta shakti, right? Marginal energy. And according to the Vedic scriptures, we have Krishna has three main potencies, energies, right? The lower potency, which is, if I might be getting things mixed up here, but I believe it's apara shakti, which is the lower energy, tatashta shakti, which is the marginal energy, and then para shakti, which is the spiritual energy, right? And that is simply, in other words, this means that the lower energy is the material energy, this material world, that matter, right? That we interact with, even this body, right? Because the body is also that matter. Without the soul, the spark of life in this body or any other body, insects, animals, right? Matter is there. It dies. Is that matter? Then we have marginal shakti, right? The tatashta shakti, the marginal potency, which is who we are, the living entity, right? The scriptures present the tatashta shakti, the marginal energy, as the jiva shakti. Now, and shakti means potency, energy. And then para shakti, which is the spiritual world, right? The world that cannot be perceived through this material body, right? A higher plane of existence. So many spiritual backgrounds talk about heaven and some other things, which goes beyond that, because according to the Vedic scriptures, heaven is still here in this universe. It's just a higher planetary system, right? But the spiritual potency goes beyond the material manifestation, right? This is where the supreme absolute truth, right? Liberated souls live to serve and enjoy. And serve has a bad connotation here in this material world, but actually our constitutional position is of servant, is of das, in relationship to that supreme absolute truth. But anyways, freedom, right? Why did I say the basis of our existence is absolute freedom? because again, we're part and parcels of God. And in which way are we free in this material world? I heard someone saying before, and it really hit me. It really resonated with me, because I heard someone saying we are so free that we choose bondage. And I couldn't help but love that statement, because it's true. We're so free that we choose bondage. There's no assertion. Nothing is being done to us. A lot of times language is used in a way that, oh, he's being punished. Even sometimes you hear our Vaishnavacharyas, our spiritual masters, speaking of how the Jiva has to go into hellish planets, right, to be punished for their sins. And the more and more I listen and the more and more I question, you can see that this is language that they are using just so we can understand, because it's what we are familiar with. But that punishment is actually purification. It's actually, it can be talked about. It can be elaborated. It's the punish is actually God's mercy. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about of what I mean when I say that in a minute. But anyways, absolute freedom. In which way we are free, and that's why I believe that. Um, Let me answer that question. In which way we're free? We're so free that we choose bondage. Why? Jiva Shakti, who we really are, marginal potency. We came into this material world because we wanted to be the center of our own existence, right? We wanted to lord it over uh, our environment. That is what the scriptures present. That's what um, our Vaishnava saints, our Vaishnavacharyas talked about. Other philosophies also speak of the same thing, right? The speciality of this Vaishnava philosophy is that it focuses on bhakti and devotion towards the Supreme Absolute Truth, seeing us, the Jiva Shakti, the spirit soul, as who we really are, right? Part and parcels of God. And therefore, constitutionally, we're servants of God, right? We live for His pleasure. And in that position, the highest pleasure for ourselves is found, right? Srila Prabhupada gives an example of how the hand is not complete if detached from the body, right? The same way the stomach, we feed our stomach, but the stomach is not complete if detached from the body. I know it's a very material. People are like, what are you talking about? It's a very gross material example, but it's just to give an idea of that relationship between the jiva and the spirit soul. Another example, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives that example, right? We're part and parcels, like the sun and the sun rays, right? Those molecules of sunlight. The sun is the Supreme Lord, complete, self evident, right? The Jiva, the infinitesimal uh, part and parcel of God, is considered to be the sun particle. And this is who we are in relationship to God. And how are we free? If one understands, and that's why I mentioned in the beginning, when I see people sometimes having these discussions online and pushing against others, and finding fault on their behavior, it, 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 it it gives me evidence. It is evidence to me that they have not understood the teachings of our Vaishnavacharyas. Why? Because if you understand the nature of who you really are, as presented by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, as elaborated by our Vaishnavacharyas, you would understand that that behavior is actually keeping you and enhancing the momentum of what you're focusing on, right? What do I mean by that? A lot of people, let's use the example of what's going on right now, the pandemic, right? A lot of people pushing against it, saying that it's planned, they're trying to control us, this and that. And I'm not going to say if it is or it isn't, right? I don't want to have this discussion right now. Just saying that it is a fact that people have that opinion, right? They push against others, calling people sheeple, right? People, sheep. And that those kind of discussions are taking place right now. And what is the problem with that kind of behavior? Because the person that has that kind of behavior, the behavior itself is evidence they have not understood the philosophy. Because if they knew the nature of who they really are, the nature of who we really are, the nature of this material energy, the nature of this apara shakti, and the nature of the supreme absolute truth, the nature of God, they would know that that behavior is detrimental to them. They would know that they are choosing, because they are choosing to give their attention in the mood of controlling, right? Because they're trying to convince others, show others the way, uh, to a subject matter that it's not congenial to the path of bhakti, to the path of devotion. That is actually is what is keeping them in bondage. If they understood that, they would actually understand that they are not only enhancing the momentum of what they are judging, but they will be held responsible for what is happening, because they're engaging other jivas, other spirit souls in that same entanglement. And maybe I'm going, too deep here, too crazy for some people, but I think it's an important conversation to have, especially for those that are practicing the path of the path of devotion, the path of bhakti, right? Because we have to take the words of our acharya as they are. Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, an advanced Vaishnav that lived on the planet until not too long ago, early 2000s. He, I think it was early 2000, 2002, but I might be mistaken. But it's a lot of his classes, his preaching, worldwide tours were recorded. They're on YouTube, and he's a heavy preacher, right? He used to say, like, you have to take the words of acharya, the words of guru as they are. Don't add salt and pepper. And so many times I catch myself adding salt and pepper, right? Trying to make the instruction fit what I believe to be the best thing for me in the moment. And I'm acting under illusion. I see that. And that's why a lot of times my prayer is that, please, Gurudev, help me see things as they are, so I can more easily follow your instructions, more easy move in the direction of what you want from me. Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj Gurudev, he always says, but I was reminded of it. I saw a post somewhere. Someone made a poster, right, with his image and then a quote when he's saying, I want all my disciples to please, twice. I want all my disciples to please try to understand you are not this body. You are not the doer. And in my mind, when I saw that post, I was thinking, what leads a pure devotee of the highest caliber, right? He's considered to be an associate of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan. In the original abode, he has a form, he serves the Supreme Absolute Truth in their pleasure pastimes in Vrindavan, right? To bring pleasure to the Supreme Absolute Truth. Out of his causeless mercy, he comes into this material manifestation, takes the form of a sadhaka, of a servant, right? He served so many, he served his Guru Maharaj, his Guru, his spiritual master, he served, perfectly. And following the orders of his spiritual masters, his Diksha Guru, his initiating Guru, and his Shiksha Guru, his instruction, the Guru that gives instruction, he went around the world, right, to preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What leads a personality like this to emphasize, to want to, that he spoke about so many things, so many deep philosophical things regarding all these truths, the nature of who we really are, the nature of this world, the nature of Bhagavan, right? And so many other things. Guru Tattva, the truth about Guru, the spiritual master, leads him to so strongly push that message. We can see that Srila Prabhupada also spoke heavily about this, right? He came to establish that we are not this body. You can see within his early preaching and his books, he repeats that so many times. We're not this body. And when I read that, I was thinking, like, I want to understand, what does it mean really to I am not this body. I am not the doer. And that took me to Bhagavad Gita when Krishna says, right, under illusion, we think to be the doers of activity, not knowing that activity is actually being just carried out by material nature, is carrying it out. And in having discussions with other Vaishnavas that I consider, of course, higher than me in knowledge, which is not difficult, but someone I respect very much, that I see that his life is dedicated to that understanding, right? To the path of bhakti, to how to serve and appropriately serve Guru and Krishna. Uh, I often approach this Vaishnav, ask these questions, to have this discussion and get some more clarification. And why Guru say these things? Please try to understand you're not this body, because that is it's absolute, is truth. And when we fall under the illusion that we are the doers, meaning try to control others, try to voice our opinion in a mood of control, try to show people the path, right? Related to subject matters that are not congenial with the path of bhakti, that show pure misunderstanding, clear misunderstanding of the philosophy. I wouldn't say misunderstanding, but certainly it shows that we have not understood what our Vaishnavacharyas came to give. Why? Because again, if we know who we really are, we're not the doers. We're not the doers. The Jiva cannot do anything. Everything is being carried out by material energy. And is being carried out based on what? Based on our desire. But even the word desire, it's a lot of times seeing from the wrong perspective. Desire means pattern of thought. Belief, what is belief? Belief is a thought that you keep thinking. That thought gains so much momentum that it becomes a strong belief. It's just what you believe, it's just what you know, right? So, desire, which is a thought, right? Thought, desire that becomes belief, is something that we want. And if it's something that we want, we give our attention to it. It becomes a pattern of thought within our minds, right? Based on that desire, based on our attention, another word that I like to use, based on what I choose to give my attention, which is based on what I'm desiring. Material nature, which is Maya Shakti, this energy, right, that is there, latent. Everything is there. Material nature reciprocates and immediately creates the path of least resistance towards what I'm giving my attention to. And an important thing that I think most of us miss is that it doesn't matter if it is wanted or unwanted. One cannot say, I want a better job. I hate this job. I don't like this. I want a better job. Why? And then if you ask the person, why do you want another job? You see that most people, and I'm doing the job thing as an example. Most people, when you ask them the question, why do you want, what do you want? They immediately go to the reasons of why they don't like what they have in the moment, or of why they need more, right? The job example, for example. They say, I want a better job. Okay, so why do you want another job? Because I hate the one I have right now. My boss, is such a hard, such a hard person to deal with. My coworkers don't cooperate with me. I don't have freedom freedom, to speak my mind, to move in the direction of what I think would be more beneficial for me and for the company. You see, there's no clarity in those statements. There's no clarity at all. I'm not moving at all in the direction of what I actually want. You see that I'm not clear about what I actually want. And then if I stop myself and say, hold on, Chaitanya, what do you want? It's clear that you don't want this job, but what do you want? It's like, oh, I said it. I said I want a place like that. I don't find people like this. They're like, and they think that, okay, this is gonna give what you want. It's like it won't, because your attention, based on what you're communicating based on your speech, is focused on what is not wanted. And material nature is not a judge, a ruler that is looking there and figuring it out what you want. It's like, oh, he's saying he doesn't like this. Oh, but it's because he actually wants this. No, you focus on your thought, and it sends you the cooperative components that will actually keep giving you more of what you have, what we have our attention on. I know that can be a little complicated, to get it at first. Let me give you another example, which is very prominent in the culture we live in today, right? Fitness, health and fitness, some, billions of dollars like industry. You see, for people that sometimes they're overweight, when you have that conversation about weight, they immediately go to what? I want to lose 5 pounds. I want to lose 12 pounds, right? It's like, okay, it seems like what's the problem with that statement? Quite simply, now try to remember what I just said based on what I just mentioned, right? We got the example with the job. When you say, I need to lose 5 pounds, and you're focusing, oh my gosh, I still haven't lost 5 pounds. I need to lose 5 pounds. You go to the scale and I need to lose 5 pounds. The problem with that statement and that pattern of thought, that belief, is that what? You need to lose 5 pounds. But to lose 5 pounds, or to continually lose 5 pounds, you need to have the 5 pounds to begin with. If you don't have the extra five, if you don't have the 5 pounds, you cannot lose the 5 pounds. And again, please try to understand what I'm saying. I'm not, I'm trying to do my best to convey the idea, but that's what it means. Material nature will continue to send the cooperative components for whatever we have our attention on. Now, using the job example, right? What would be the best way that will actually bring me what I want? First of all, move towards clarity, right? Try to get clear. What is it that I want? I don't like this job, but what is it that I actually want out of a job? And you can find what you want looking at what is not wanted. If you look at your job, then you're thinking, excuse me. If you're looking at your job and you're thinking, I um I don't like this job because my boss, it's it's a very difficult person to deal with. My coworkers are not cooperative. Okay, let's stop there. Now let me get clarity about what I actually want in relationship to that. What I actually want out of a job. I want a job where I can, we can have a supervisor, a boss that is open-minded, right? That is cooperative, that is looking for value in the people that he's leading. I want a job, that has an environment of cooperation where my coworkers or myself with my coworkers strongly move in the direction of what we want, which is meet the goals set for ourselves. You see the difference of that approach? One, I'm pushing against towards what is not wanted, right? And the other one, I'm moving in the direction of what I want. It is a subtle distinction, but it has to be made. Okay? And why I'm giving that example? Because regarding the pandemic and everything that is going on, if we keep pushing against what is not wanted, material nature, this Maya Shakti, this potency, no, is there, vibrating. It has frequencies, right? When we focus on pushing against what is not wanted, we inevitably, without a doubt, material nature will keep sending more of it. That's why a lot of times it's common to see people saying, "I don't know why this keep happening to me. I don't know why this keep happening to me. Oh, here we go again. I keep seeing people like this. Why? Because that's what it has your focus, has your attention, and strong momentum is taking place. And I'm going to talk about momentum in a minute because it's another very important thing to realize. What does it mean, momentum in our lives as we stand here and now? So again, Maya Shakti in relationship to the Jiva Shakti, right? Take this body out of the picture. Imagine yourself. I remember there was a movie back in the day called Cocoon, I think, right? Where these aliens had some eggs, things that they would throw in the ocean to be re-energized, right? And they were, when they were ready, I think they would take out of the ocean and put in a pool in a retirement home. And the retirees, they happened to go one day go into that pool and start swimming, and what's the word, revitalized them, right? And they couldn't understand why. They kept going back to the pool, and they became like, doing, able to do backflips. Retirees that could barely walk, they were doing backflips. They were living it up. And one day in the pool, they saw some people coming back from the boats carrying more of these eggs and putting them in the pool. And then one of the ladies actually peeled off her skin like this, and it revealed herself to be this bright And this is a movie in the 90s, I think, so the CGI is the worst. Right? But I thought it was a nice idea because she revealed this bright, energetic body. She could fly like a little fairy and stuff, right? And I like to think like, okay, this is who I really am, Shakti, energy, right? Vibrating, pulsating, and emanating frequencies through thought. So imagine yourself as, now that body is inside of this, flesh and bone body. So okay, if I'm not this body and I'm Jiva Shakti, how am I interacting and influencing the world around me? Through thought and emotion, through frequency and vibration. So if I'm thinking about, again, giving an example of the job, right? If I'm thinking about uh, whatever I'm thinking about, whatever I'm thinking about, is important to think about in a way that doesn't push against it. Because if you push against it, you are acting under illusion. You think you are the doer, you think you are the controller. But if you don't push against it and you move in the direction of what you want, right? Because you can have whatever you want. God is all good. That's another principle, right? The nature of the supreme absolute truth. Everything, everything, and it's a hard one for people to hear, especially if they're going through suffering or if they have experienced suffering in this body, right? Now or in the past, is a hard one for people to accept, right? When so many people go through terrible things such as abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, right? Break of trust, like so many things happen, and it's hard for people to hear that. How can you're asking me to see Krishna's mercy, God's mercy in that kind of behavior, in that kind of situation I went through? It's a hard one. I completely understand. And I don't mean to be offensive and belittle these people experience in any way, shape, or form. I understand it's painful, but I am humbly asking for anyone that is happen to be listening to this to take yourself out of the picture a little bit. Move away from your experience and try to listen to the words of our spiritual masters. Try to listen to the words of Srila Prabhupada, of Srila Gurudev. Try to understand that you're actually not this body. The Vedic scriptures speak of our experience here in this material world as a blink of an eye. It's a second. It's a split second in comparison to our eternal existence, right? It is said that we've been here trying to enjoy in this apara shakti, in this material world, since time immemorial. Since time immemorial. It says that it's anadi, like without beginning. And I remember someone asking Guru Govinda Swami Maharaj, like, what does that mean? That it says it's without beginning, right? It says no, there's no beginning. And he said there's no beginning, meaning has been so long that you cannot trace the time when you started, when you're attract, when you're in marginal position and you're attract to this lower energy, to this lower potency. That means anadi, without beginning, meaning since time immemorial, meaning it's so long you cannot track. So now imagine you, myself, here where we are right now in this body, you know experiencing all those things and acting strongly under illusion, thinking we are this body, holding on to the sufferings, to the pains and injustices that we have suffered in this body. If we cannot step back, listen to the words of acharyas, listen to what the Vedic scriptures or the scriptures are presenting, it's very hard to move on from where we are. But if we are able to step back a little bit, it's like, okay, I'm not this body. All these horrible things happen to me, but I'm gonna try to put my faith in their words, and I'm going to step back a little bit. I will see myself as that 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 being, right? And that spirit soul, that Jiva Shakti, right? That personality that is beyond this physical manifestation, beyond this material body. And if you step back, you will see that you can slow down the momentum of whatever you are experiencing right now in your life. You will see that you can develop a practice, and that's why sadhana is so important. Sadhana, practice, right? I love that they say sadhana bhakti, the practice of devotion, because it's required, it's necessary. We have to practice. Everything is practice. Everything is practice. Everything is Attention, we put our attention and we move in towards that. So people say, sometimes people say, I remember even before, I've been a vegetarian for a few years now. People before, I was the one that I remember I would say I don't think I can be a vegetarian because I grew up in Brazil eating meat, and it was just a practiced thing. Once I made a decision and I start practicing it, right, cutting things out of no meat out of my diet, momentum starts picking up. So from a mentality that, oh, I don't think I can live without meat, from that, because I start practicing, opening my mind a little bit, and I start practicing and moving in the direction of what I wanted, right? Now the momentum is so strong that I cannot imagine myself eating meat for enjoyment or for whatever reason, curiosity. It literally makes me sick of my stomach. I have an experience just in my mind, right? We went to Brazil a few years ago with my wife and my daughter, visit my family, and meat was all over the place. It's part of the culture, right? And we don't judge. I understand. I love my family. Is the is the life that they live. They're actually very pious. They're Christian, pious Christians, right? There is an aspect of bhakti, of devotion in their life, and I appreciate that very much. But they eat meat, and my wife and I, my kids, and they understand that we don't, and they try to accommodate for us, but they're living their lives. Even this smell, it creates discomfort. And again, I'm just saying these things not to judge anyone, just to share my experience and give examples of what I mean regarding momentum. So if you, regardless of what's happening right now in your life, if you step back a little bit and you start listening, based your thought, your attention on what our Vaishnavacharyas, what the scriptures are presenting, you will find that you can slow that momentum down. And you will find that it will be easier for you to change your pattern of thought, right? At least is what I found for myself, to change my pattern of thought, to give my attention towards what is wanted. And then you start talking about, in a more clear and specific way, you start talking about what you actually want. And in that way, you will see the material nature in the same way he kept bringing the things that you were trying to communicate that you didn't want, right? Right, the difficult job, the uncooperative co-workers, or someone that wants a relationship. You hear, and I heard that before. Sometimes guys saying or women saying, it's like, I don't know why I always attract these kind of guys, right? It's like, see, the evidence is in what you're saying. It's because that has your focus, right? What kind of guy do you want? Usually you would say, I actually had this conversation with someone in Orlando once. What kind of guy do you want? Oh, I just don't want these guys that do this. It's normal to go into that. I just don't. I actually go around in my conversations observing people's approach. Right, for years now, I've do that as an experiment just to see, and you can see it. I challenge you to do it when conversing, when talking to people. If they are communicating something that is not pleasant to them, that they're experiencing, ask them, what do you want? And you'll see, for the most part, they will push against whatever they are experiencing in the moment. I just don't want these guys to do this and this and that. It's like, okay, no, I understand that though, but what do you want? And you see, they have to stop and like, what do you mean? Like, what do you want? What do you want? You want a guy that is what? And it's difficult for them to even, communicate, speak of what it is. Why? Because there's no momentum of thought. There's no practice in thinking that kind of way. And why is this is an important conversation? Because again, we're so free that we choose bondage. We're free to think. We're free to give our attention to whatever we choose to. We're free. We're free. We're free. We're free. And as within that freedom, as we choose to give our attention towards not wanted, towards what is not wanted, especially in the mood of control, we're breaking natural law. We're seeing ourselves as the doers of activity, trying to influence others and control others to move in a way that we think will be beneficial, not only for them, but mainly for us, right? We think people are infringing in our liberties. So I have to push against and do something about it. Instead of actually putting faith in transcendence, knowing that Krishna is the only doer, the only doer. The Jiva does not have that potency, does not have that shakti. We think ourselves as the doer, but actually material nature is just carrying out the activity. But it's carrying out the activity based on what? Based on our thoughts, based on our desires. Krishna arranges everything. This material nature is arranged to reciprocate with whatever you want, as you wish, more, as you wish, more. But wish means what? Wish, desire, thought means attention. Attention. That's why it's important to give our attention towards what is wanted. And what is wanted for those in the path of bhakti, in the path of devotion, is important that we make sure that whatever we want is in line and beneficial to the path we are choosing to walk, which is the path of devotion, the path of bhakti, right? Devotion. I want to read something real quick that I was thinking, excuse me, I was talking about that yesterday, and I decided to record this video because, again, I'm fascinated about this subject matter. It gave me so much clarity, so many things that I couldn't explain before. It's so much easier for me to digest now. And I was thinking about that last night, and I saw this post by Srila Prabhupada, and I want to read that. It's not a post, excuse me, a purport of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He wrote on his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 2, verse 117. In the purport, you will find, quote, imitation devotees who wish to advertise themselves as elevated Vaishnavas and who therefore imitate the previous acharyas but do not follow them in principle are conditioned in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, and he gives the reference, second canto, third chapter, 24th verse, as stone-hearted, right? So they are condemned in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam as stone-hearted. Srila Vishnavach Chakravarti Thakur, another Vaishnavacharya in our disciplic succession, he commented on their stone-hearted condition as follows. And then here's the verse, and the translation is, those who shed tears, quote, those who shed tears by practice, but whose hearts have not changed, are to be known as stone-hearted devotees. Of the lowest grade, their imitation crying, induced by artificial practice, is always condemned, end quote. Srila Prabhupada continues saying, the desired change of heart referred to the above is visible in the reluctance to do anything not congenial to the devotional way. To create such a change of heart, conclusive discussion about Shri Kṛṣṇa and his potencies. So, to create such a change of heart, conclusive discussion about Shri Kṛṣṇa and his potencies is absolutely necessary. False devotees may think that simply shedding tears will lead one to the transcendental plane. Even if one has not had a factual change in heart, but such a practice is useless if there is no transcendental realizations, right? If we don't know the truth. I added that, I'm sorry. If there's no transcendental realizations. He continues, false devotees, lacking the conclusions of transcendental knowledge, think that artificially shedding tears will deliver them. Similarly, other false devotees, here, this is an important thing also. Similarly, other false devotees, thinking that studying books of the previous acharyas is unadvisable, like studying dry empiric philosophies. But Srila Jiva Goswami, following the previous acharyas, has inculcated the conclusions of the scriptures in this sixth thesis called the Sat Sandarbhas. The Sat Sandarbhas. False devotees who have very little knowledge of such conclusions fail to achieve pure devotion for want of zeal in accepting the favorable directions for devotional service given by self-realized devotees. Such false devotees are like impersonalists, who also consider devotional service no better than ordinary fruitive activities. End quote. right? Thought it was awesome that he said to create such change of heart, so we don't have a stone hearted, right? We're not stone hearted. He says to create such change of heart, conclusive discussion about Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his potencies are absolutely necessary. And what are Krishna's potencies? Like I said before in the beginning of this video, right? It is said, uh, lower potency, right? Apara Shakti, the material world, conclusive discussion regarding the nature of this material world is necessary, is required. The nature of this material world, the nature of who we really are, Jiva Shakti, Krishna's potency, right? Jiva, we're Jiva Shakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, we're Jiva Shakti. So conclusive discussion regarding the nature of this world, the nature of who we really are, and the nature of Bhagavan, the nature of God, the nature of Shri Krishna is required, is necessary. And evidence that we have not understood these things, and therefore, I have a stone heart, is that I have not I engage in conversations in these kind of topics in a mood of controller, trying to push against things instead of understand who I really am, Jiva Shakti, the center of my own existence. And whatever I focus, I give attention to, give thoughts to, this other Shakti, this Apara Shakti, this Maya Shakti is there, latent, vibrating, right? Ready to meet my frequency, to meet me as potency, whatever I am. And he sends more of it. He sends more of it. So if one start seeing the truth, seeing things as they are, everything we choose to give our attention to, we will give first in the mood of das, in the mood of servant, knowing that we are not the controllers. And second of all, we will make sure that whatever we're giving our attention to is congenial, as Srila Prabhupada said, with the path of devotion. Is this actually going to help me, right? Serve my Gurudev, serve Srila Prabhupada, serve the Supreme Absolute Truth. Is this behavior, is this conversation, is this subject matter that I'm choosing to give my attention to, is it actually going to help me understand, right, Krishna and his potencies? That is a question that has to be asked. And the answer, and not the answer, but I was going to say, and in every single subject matter, you can move in that direction. Every single subject matter, we can speak in such a way that is actually congenial to the path of devotion. Why? Because that is the nature of Bhagavan. God is all good. We used to say that in church. God, for the Lord is good, right? God is good. And it was hard for people to know, for people to understand, how can God be good when there's so many horrible things happening? And again, that kind of statement is evidence of lack of knowledge. They are identifying themselves as the body. They are identifying their existence in the here and now based on what is happening, not knowing that we've been trying to enjoy separately from God in this material world, in this material existence. And not only this material world, this Maya Shakti is also unlimited. There are unlimited material universes. The scriptures speak of a form of Krishna, right? I think it's Karano Dakshaya Vishnu. I don't know which one it is. Kshira Dakshaya Vishnu, Karana Dakshaya Vishnu, and Garbo Dakshaya Vishnu. I don't know which one. I can't remember right now. But the scriptures speak of a form of the Supreme Lord that he manifests, and it lays there, and in every single breath, from every single pore. We know that as human beings we have trillions of pores, right, in our skin. The scriptures speak that from every single pore of that gigantic form of the Lord, material universes are manifested, right? Talk about multiverse. We're just getting into the Marvel multiverse phase, and this is a multiverse that exists, right? So as Vishnu is sitting there, and the unlimited material universes, unlimited. Think about from every single pore, one material universe. I think the word is Brahmanda. One material universe, one egg is one material universe. It's manifested, and in this material universe, we are born into it, in this planet, in on Earth, right? Which has a word in Sanskrit, but I can't think it right now. So there are unlimited material universes, unlimited jivas trying to lord it over an experience and trying to be the center of their own existence in these material universes. So people that are mentioning like, how can God, they don't understand this truth. They think I am this body. I was born, I'm gonna die, luckily when I'm like 98, 100 years old, and bas, done. Not knowing that, no, that is not true. You just came into this body just to experience the results of your activities, right? And we can go in so many other directions here when it comes to talking about the speciality of this human body, right? Because only with this human body can we realize who we really are. Can we have choices, right? I heard someone saying, right, if you're a goose and things, and in the winter, things don't look too good down south, tough luck, right? You have no choice. Material nature is forcing them to fly south, right? If you're a tree, there's a fire, and it starts feeling uncomfortable. There's no choice. Human beings have choice. If my neighborhood, things are not too good in my neighborhood, I can move, right? We can choose a different path. We can choose a different pattern of thought. That is the speciality of this material world. Animals cannot commit sin. Why? Because they're just acting. They're just acting according to their nature, right? A tiger cannot help but hunt. It's acting according to its nature. You will see something that it perceives as a meal, and will go after it. And that is not sin. But human beings, we commit sin. We break natural law. For the animals, that is natural law to hunt. For a human being, we break natural law. To bring suffering to other living entities so I can enjoy, that breaks natural law. And again, hard for people to hear when they don't understand the nature of who we really are, the nature of this world, and the nature of God, the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth, which these three subject matter alone are so deep, so philosophical in nature. I hope this brings some clarity to whoever is listening. Let's move in the direction of what we want. Let's focus on what is wanted in relationship, again, to who we really are, the nature of this world, and most importantly, the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And as we move in that direction, let's make sure that everything we focus on and everything we do is done in relationship to our constitutional position, to our relationship to Guru and Krishna. All right? Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please don't forget, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting more videos, sharing my realizations. If you want more information, some material that can help you, again, realize who you really are so you can live a more, a happier and more fulfilling life, again, take a look at my website, okay? Thank you very much, and until next time, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
They are ahankar vimulatma. They are built out by false ego. Do you understand? They say, what? Kartang ahinti manyate. I am the doer. Ahankar vimulatma kartang ahangiti manyate. Builder, one who is builder by false ego, he thinks himself the doer. Isn't it? He thinks himself. I is very great in him. I and mine. But great in him. Those are real Vaishnavas. They never say so. I am the servant of Kṛṣṇa. Mahaprabhu has taught that thing. Gopi vartru padakamalir dasa dasan dasahang. Gopi vartru padakamalir dasa dasan dasahang. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the husband of a gopis. Do you understand? Dasa dasan dasa. Mahaprabhu has taught this thing. But we are such, this builder, we are so much builder by false ego. The false ego is so great in us. We say, oh, I am such and such. I do this thing. I am the doer. Kartang niti manyati. Do you understand? In other words, I can say, they don't want to serve Kṛṣṇa and give him enjoyment. They want to enjoy themselves. Do you understand? We are enjoyers. We'll enjoy. Everything belongs to me. This ahankara vimudhatma, builder by false ego. They say so and think so. You are never an enjoyer and you cannot be an enjoyer. Can you? Huh? Huh? No. You are never an enjoyer. You cannot be an enjoyer. Kṛṣṇa is the only enjoyer.